Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Food and Movement as Medicine, which is a statewide collaborative effort encouraging wellness and chronic disease prevention through nutrition and movement. I'm glad you're able to join us. My name is Alberta Davis, and I'm an employee at Comagine Health, where we work to improve health and create a better healthcare system so that people and communities will flourish. Tonight's event is made possible through the partnership and support of Path to Health New Mexico, Comagine Health, and the organizations you see here. Before we get going, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping items so you'll know how to participate and have the best experience possible. You can listen to this webinar using your computer speakers or call in by phone. Using your computer speakers or headset is recommended for the best quality. At the bottom of the screen, you should see 3 buttons. To the far left is audio settings. In the middle, you will see the Q&A. Clicking audio settings will bring up the audio preferences for this webinar. You can send a test sound to check your speaker and microphone. Be sure that your computer's volume is turned up. While hearing from today's presenters, your microphone will remain muted. After the presentations are over, we will move into a time of Q&A. However, at any point during the webinar, you can submit questions in the Q&A box. To do this, click the Q&A box and a window will appear where you may submit your question. You can submit questions anonymously or to the whole group. You can keep this window open to view the questions from other participants as well. If you see someone has already submitted a similar question, vote on their questions by clicking the thumbs up button so that we can focus on the most popular questions first. There are a lot of people joining us tonight, and I'm sure there'll be lots of great questions. We'll send a follow-up email with responses to some of the questions we're not able to cover during the time we have. If you're having any technical difficulties, we have moderators who can help you via the Q&A box. Today's webinar will be recorded. The recording will be posted on Comagine Health YouTube channel. The link will also be provided in a follow-up email, which will be sent out approximately 2 weeks after the event. Now that we've covered the housekeeping items, I'd like to share more about our series and tonight's event. The purpose of this virtual series is to encourage wellness and chronic disease prevention through nutrition and movement. In each session, we offer a healthy cooking demonstration, an introduction to evidence-based lifestyle programs and support available, and movement tips that make a difference. Tonight, we'll hear about some lifestyle change programs. First, Eileen Dunn will take us through Tai Chi for arthritis and fall prevention. Eileen is a certified personal trainer specializing in senior fitness and the maintenance of strength, balance, and an active lifestyle. She is a senior trainer with the Tai Chi for Health Institute and a Matter of Balance master trainer. In addition to practicing the Tai Chi and teaching Tai Chi, she enjoys teaching enhanced fitness and other programs. A senior herself, her goal is to keep strong and healthy and keep hiking and dancing. Then, Sue Perry will talk about the National Diabetes Prevention Program. Sue is proud to be one of the first lifestyle coaches to be trained for the National DPP and in the first class of Master Trainer Selects. She has worked clinically as a diabetes educator and as a behavioral health specialist, and is passionate about helping people discover and implement their health goals. We'll do some movement for wellness with Troy Jones, who is the current DOH health educator for diabetes and heart disease in Population Health Division, an ACE, American Council on Exercise, certified personal trainer, a 15-year child welfare background, and has a Bachelor's of University Studies degree from University of New Mexico. And then we'll have a healthy cooking demonstration from Laura McCann from Kitchen Creations. Laura is a registered dietitian who has been practicing in Santa Fe for over 10 years. She works with clients at La Familia Medical Center in Santa Fe and also teaches Kitchen Creations, a cooking class for people with diabetes offered through NMSU County Extension. She loves helping people find improved health through better nutrition and enjoyment of healthy food. So without any further ado, I'll turn it over to Eileen.
Thank you, Bert, and welcome everybody. So glad you're here tonight. And I'm going to be talking and giving a little demo on Tai Chi for arthritis and fall prevention. It was developed by Dr. Paul Lam, a medical doctor, along with other medical professionals and Tai Chi experts from the Tai Chi for Health Institute. It's an evidence-based fall program, and it is recommended by the Center for Disease Control and the National Council on Aging. The movements are from Sun style Tai Chi and are very gentle. Some believe these movements increase the flow of energy through the meridians and will leave us feeling really calm and relaxed. It works for me. It's much simpler to learn than a lot of other Tai Chi forms, but why Tai Chi for fall prevention? It is proven to improve balance. We move slowly through Tai Chi forms, move deliberately. We pay attention. Sometimes we don't pay enough attention in life, and that's when accidents happen. It improves muscle strength in the lower limbs, and weakness in the lower limbs is one of the three main physical reasons why people fall. And it improves postural alignment and confidence, helping to keep us safe as we move through everyday activities. And it's relaxing. Done with the PowerPoint. So we're all going to do a little Tai Chi and a little breathing right from where you're seated. I'm just kind of looking because that light's shining on me weird. We're going to start with our hands right here and just take a big breath in, breath out. This is called open hands, closed hands. Very relaxing and so important to bring some breath work into our everyday lives. Wonderful to just go outside in the afternoon sun and say, oh yeah, let me try that. Breath in, breath out. In the Tai Chi for Arthritis and Fall Prevention program, we begin each class by doing 2 warm-ups for each joint in the body: the neck, the shoulders, the spine, the hips, the knees, the ankles. And I know sometimes we get, a little sore in the neck. So let me show you our first neck exercise. Before I do, I'll take a big breath in. Breath out. Would you like to say a nice audible ah? We won't hear you. Breath in. Oh, that feels good. This time, we're going to turn our palms towards the face and gently, we never want to do anything that hurts. If the doctor says don't do it, don't do it. Otherwise, gently bring the chin back, bring the ears back over the shoulders as if we're pushing back. And a little push away and gently gaze down. The chin comes towards the chest. Breath in, return the gaze forward, that gentle push back, a little push away, release. One more time. I hope that felt good. So that's 2 things maybe you can remember and do tomorrow. Yeah, you see me walking with my iPhone because I have a timer set. So I would like to show you the exercise we do to warm up the front of the legs and the back. So I'm going to do it with a chair. And it's an excellent one. If you have a chair without wheels, we need a stable chair that maybe you want to practice. I'm going to place my heel forward and push this arm back. And then bring the ball of the foot back, letting my arm float up again. this not only warms up the joint, but it's very important because we practice this swing through we do with every step we take. You might notice it more when you're going down steps. As we progress in the program, we get strong and don't need the chair. And we can have both arms swinging up and push back. Breath in. You see, I have my railroad tracks on the floor here. We do want to make sure that we keep our heels hip width. In Tai Chi, we get an opportunity to move in different directions. In life, we spend a lot of time walking forward, but how about when we need to grab something on the top shelf? Of course, that's to be right in front of where we're grabbing, but in Tai Chi, we do have movements off to the side to help us practice moving in our lives, in our laundry room where we need to turn around, or in our kitchen, let's get something from the refrigerator. And we also have an opportunity to move sidewards, to do some lateral movement. And you're going to do some more for the abductors with Troy in a little bit. But do practice, if you don't now, with your kitchen counter or on your dining room table, practice moving to the side, just stepping ball to the heel. This is my kitchen counter, transferring the weight and stepping in. I'm going to keep going. Maybe you have a chair and you're following along with me, or maybe you don't have a chair and you're following along. Ball to heel, transfer the weight. And this is a beautiful movement, or the legs of a beautiful movement called wave hands like clouds. Let me show you. Looks like this. I'm going to step in, transfer the weight. All Tai Chi movements are very slow and gentle. Nice. One more that we can do together. It's a shoulder warm up, but also another opportunity to really open the lungs, get some fresh oxygen. Take a big breath in. Breath out. In Tai Chi, we talk about Chi a lot, energy. We're going to gather some nurturing Chi from the earth, healing Chi from the heavens, and pour it into every cell. One more time, big breath in. Oh, treat yourself to a shower of calm, of health, of relaxation, and join us for Tai Chi, for arthritis, and fall prevention. Thank you very much for your time. I would like to introduce Sue Perry. That's representing the National Diabetes Prevention Program. Sue, take it away.
Thank you, Eileen. I'm so happy to be a part of this group. I think, can we go back a slide just for the moment, David? Thank you. And introduce you to the National Diabetes Prevention Program and how it really fits into our theme tonight, and food as movement as medicine. Okay, next slide now. Thank you. So the National Diabetes Prevention Program is essentially a remedy based on evidence in response to what is a growing epidemic for prediabetes and diabetes. In fact, the statistics on this slide are not even updated. I just received an update from CDC, and we now have 95 million adults who have prediabetes. That means they already have blood sugars that are abnormal, and 37 million who have diabetes. So what is prediabetes? Prediabetes are when your blood sugars are higher than normal, but not quite as high as they are for a diagnosis of diabetes. They are also considered a really worrisome risk, and there's several reasons why. First of all, the fact that people don't feel any different is one of the reasons that 8 in 10 people who have prediabetes don't even know they have it. But we also know that people with prediabetes have a much higher rate of going on and then getting diabetes, which is, of course, a great concern. And we also know that if you have prediabetes, meaning, once again, that your blood sugars are higher than normal, down the line, you can also experience some of the things that we really are concerned about with diabetes, like having trouble with nerves and having difficulty with heart health and perhaps having an influence on your vision. So there's a lot of good reasons to address it if you can. The great news is we can. There's a study done a number of years ago showing that people that lose 5% of their weight, become more active, and learn how to eat healthy to maintain those practices have a 58% reduction in their risk for going on and getting diabetes. And the really good news is that being older is even an advantage, because if you're 60 or older and you do this program and you're successful in meeting its goals, which everyone that does it usually is, you'll have a 72% reduction in rate of diabetes. It's pretty phenomenal. So let's talk about what the National Diabetes Prevention Program is. First of all, it's available here throughout the state of New Mexico, especially more so now that we are doing many things virtually because of the pandemic. And it's available through Zoom, but it also is available in many places one-on-one where we're able to meet that way again. It's free, and it involves being able to get support from a group of your peers, so other people who are also wanting to prevent their risk for prediabetes or their risk for diabetes, and guidance from a trained lifestyle coach to help you discover your own best eating practices and ways of getting active to drop your risk once again to 58% risk of less of getting diabetes, or 72% if you happen to be 60 or older. Next slide, please. So who's eligible for this amazing program? Well, you simply need to be an adult, 18 or older. You need to be overweight, which sadly a very high percentage of our population is, and not have been diagnosed with type 1 or type 2 diabetes previously. So this is for diabetes prevention. So if you already have diabetes, there are other chronic disease self-management programs that you can learn about through Paths to Health, but this is not for people who already have diabetes and to not be currently pregnant. And you need to meet one of these other items, either to have had a blood test that diagnoses you with prediabetes. So prediabetes, once again, is diagnosed based purely on a blood sugar that is higher than normal, but not in the diabetes range. You may have had one of these with your doctor, and they may have told you that you have prediabetes or your blood sugars are running kind of high. And so that would allow you to be eligible. Or women that have previously been diagnosed with gestational diabetes. And gestational diabetes is when during your pregnancy, your blood sugars go up higher than normal and you actually have diabetes during your pregnancy. It gets treated with your provider along with your other prenatal care. And after you've had your baby, usually your blood sugars go back to normal. But your risk for prediabetes and diabetes are much higher after that. So that would cause you to be eligible. Or you can simply take the CDC high-risk pretest. And the link is here on this slide. It'll be on another slide. And at the end of the program, when we ask you to let us know if you'd like more information, we can easily get that information to you as well. The prediabetes risk test takes a really short amount of time to take. And once again, you don't have to have prediabetes to be eligible for this program. You simply need to be at risk. So there's a large group of people that can really, really get benefit from this program. So what are some of the other prerequisites for participating? Well, you need to register for the program and find one that is either near you if you're going in person, or sign up for one of our ones that are available through Zoom, and that information will be available at the end of this program. You need to be willing to commit to a 12-month program. It takes a long time to develop new habits and maintain them. And this program is really about that. The first 4 months of the program, you meet weekly with your coach and your group, your peer group. The last 8 months of the program, you meet once or twice per month, depending on what you all decide as a group in terms of what might be most helpful and supportive. And you need to be willing to try some things such as tracking everything you eat and drink to learn about your eating habits, trying new kinds of things to increase your activity. So wherever your activity might be at this point, you want to eventually meet the goal of getting 150 minutes of activity per week, which is very doable. And there's lots of support and strategies in this program to help you get there. So The last item that's really important is you're willing to try new things. So the benefit of being in a program where you've got great support from your peer group and from a trained lifestyle coach who also can provide all kinds of strategies, different practices, new things to try in each session is that you get to try things and figure out what works for you and what doesn't. This program is designed to allow you to discover and develop habits that allow you to lose weight, maintain activity for a lifetime. It's designed to have people find their own best practices and not to tell you how to practice. So now I'm going to give you an example of trying something that you might be doing in the National Diabetes Prevention Program class. Next slide, please. So here's a sample activity to try. I'd like everybody to take out a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen or a crayon, whatever you have, and write down everything you've had to eat and drink since you got up today. So just kind of think about, did you have something to eat in the morning? Have you had snacks? What did you have for lunch? If you've had something to eat before coming to this program, you might want to write that down. And also any drinks you had, including water. Just make a quick list. I'll give you a moment or two to make that list. And as you're making that list or you're finishing it, take a look at it and count how many servings of fruits and vegetables you had to eat today. Was it 5 or more? Was it less than 5? If you're looking at a list and you only have 1 or 2 things on there, are you thinking that maybe it's possible to add 1 more serving a day? Learning about your current eating patterns is part of the discovery that allows you to make little changes to help you lose weight. And these are the kinds of things that you'll be doing in terms of activities and homework and trying out new kinds of practices in the National Diabetes Prevention Program. It's a wonderful way to really make food and movement part of your daily life, to reduce your risk of diabetes, and to experience all the other benefits that our presenters are going to be speaking about for being more active and eating healthier with what you have available. Next slide, please. So here's some next steps to think about. Once again, really recommend that you take the pre-diabetes risk test. It's free, easy to take. Here's the link, and we also can provide it later. And at the end of this whole program, check the box for more information at the end, because by doing so, someone will reach out to you from Paths to Health or Comagine to find out what you're interested in, help you look for a class to sign up for, and answer any questions you might have about this program and any of the other ones that are being presented this evening. And challenge yourself to be a detective and discover your best strategies for eating well and moving more. Remember, this is about your own self-discovery with some assistance and some tips to allow you to be successful. It's not about someone telling you how to do these things, but helping you find the best way to bring these practices into your life. And now I'm going to pass the baton over to Troy Jones, who's going to be working with you on movement for wellness.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Sue. So what I'm going to do is demonstrate some exercises that you can do at home or in the office. And the nice thing about these exercises, they can be very progressive. So you can either, if you go to the gym, you can either add weight or you can use bands and so on, or you can move to heavier dumbbells. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to use 5-pound dumbbells. So I have arm circles and external rotation. A lot of us are sitting all day at a desk, so our arms are kind of hunched in this position. So these exercises will kind of help correct that. So the arm circle is just more to get some blood going, especially if you go backwards. That's going to kind of get that tightness out of your neck and that stiffness in the middle of your back. So this one's called external rotation. You want to make sure that your elbow is like at a 90-degree angle, so you're not, your bicep isn't doing all the work. You just go out, in, in. And next we'll proceed to a chest press. You just press forward, squeeze your shoulder blades together. Nice and easy. Then I'm going to do A chair squat, this is probably one of the most functional exercises there is. So just put your hands together. And you want to make sure you're using a surface. Like right now, I have my exercise bench, but you want to use something that's not going to move on you. So don't use your office chair because you might end up on the floor. So, and this might be a little challenging. So I'm in an area where I can reach out and hold on to a doorway. I can do what's called a leg lift. This is a nice substitute for doing those chair squats. Make sure you work both legs. And then the next one is just moving side to side. And it looks kind of easy, like it might be just doing a little dance, but one of the things about having a job where you sit so much, there's, and I'll throw a little humor in here, there's something called dead butt syndrome from sitting too much, where your glutes aren't activated and your abductors don't get that work in. So if you want to make that a little bit harder, just you can put a band and then actually move up to, like I was saying before, in the gym. And the last one is their knee kicks. And this is just going to work the back of the legs. But this is something you can do. And a lot of people think that they have to go to the gym and spend a lot of time, hours and hours. But this is something you can do in 3 to 5 minutes. Just get up and move around, because consistency and doing a little bit will take you a really long way. And remember, before you start any exercise program, always consult your physician. And there's another thing I wanted to talk about. It's called aging in place. As you noticed, I did everything vertical, because a lot of our society, whether you're going out to dinner, watching TV, driving, a lot of us have desk jobs, and even a lot of exercises, it's sit, sit, sit. So we sit for 23 hours, counting sleeping, and then 1 hour of exercise is really not going to combat that. And I've heard in one article I read, it said sitting is called the new smoking. So there's something called aging in place, where you try to just get up and move around. And there's an acronym called NEAT. That's non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So you give yourself either a goal, or you give yourself a point for just simple, this is exercises outside of the gym. So let's say you got up off the couch and you washed the dishes, that's 1 point. Anything that you do vertical, you get 1 point. And it's a little extra motivation to burn calories. And not only that, just to keep you motivated and keep you just moving, so that you're not in that sitting position so much. And a lot of it takes time. So just remember consistency, and always safety over form is more important than the amount of weight you use. And just switch it up every 2 or 3 months. There's usually a personal trainer, or there's usually there's a certified exercise instructor, or most, if you're going into a gym, or a lot of there's YouTube videos. And but you always want to make sure it's somebody that's reputable, not somebody like, hey, check out this new exercise, and that's not based in exercise science. So thank you, everybody. And I'm going to turn it over to Laura McCann for a cooking demonstration now.
Oh. Can you hear me? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. I went mute. Thank you, Eileen, Sue, and Troy. Before we begin the cooking segment, I'd like to remind everyone to continue to submit questions in the Q&A. Our presenters will answer some of the most popular questions after the segment. Don't forget to give a thumbs up in the Q&A for questions you like the most. I know some people worry about being able to cook meals that taste good. Maybe it's too hard or complicated. The good news is that it doesn't have to be. Laura McCann from Kitchen Creations is here to show us how to make spaghetti squash to get you started, and we'll share the recipe in a follow-up email you'll receive after this event. So now I'd like to welcome Laura.
Thank you, Bert, and thank all of you for being here tonight. I'm excited to share a really simple recipe for spaghetti squash, and I'll show you what it looks like. This this recipe will be emailed out as mentioned. So here it is. It's easy. It only has a few ingredients: our spaghetti squash, onion, some dried basil, a little bit of oil, and chopped tomatoes. This recipe is from the New Mexico Recipes Cookbook that participants of the Kitchen Creations series receives for free. This is an awesome cookbook. It's got a lot of our local favorites like stovetop red enchiladas and chile relleno casserole, and other recipes too. They're all delicious. I've tried so many of them. There's broccoli beef in this spaghetti squash recipe. So let's get started. Okay, here we have our ingredients, and we're going to start with the spaghetti squash. The spaghetti squash is a hard winter squash, but you can find it any time of year. And when you're at the store, you want to make sure it has a nice smooth surface. There are no bruises on it. And this will keep for 2 to 3 weeks on your countertop. So it'll stick around for a while. The first thing we're going to do is pierce the spaghetti squash in several places with a fork. And then we're going to bake it. Baking is a low-fat cooking method, which is important to take care of our heart health. The recipe also says that you can cook the spaghetti squash in the microwave. Now, I've already done this step in the interest of time, so we are going to move on to the next step. All right, I've warmed up my pan and I'm going to add a tablespoon of olive oil. Olive oil is one of our healthy fats. It's an unsaturated fat and particularly high in monounsaturated fat. Next, I'm going to add our onions. Hot. I'll turn it down. Just gonna stir these around so they're covered in the oil. And we're gonna cook these for about 5 minutes. We wanna see that they get translucent. That tells us that they're cooked through. So you might have noticed that this recipe has no salt. So where's the flavor coming from? Well, I'll tell you, but first it's important to know that limiting salt in our diet is important to keep our blood pressure healthy, which also keeps our hearts healthy. Using less salt when we're cooking and eating is a good first step. And I can assure you that although this recipe has no salt, it has a lot of flavor. Flavor can come from aromatic vegetables like our onions. This recipe does not have garlic in it, but I'm going to diverge a little bit and add some garlic. That's another aromatic vegetable, adds a lot of flavor. If you're making a soup, you might saute onions with celery and carrots. Those also give a lot of flavor to foods. And I'm going to add a teaspoon of basil. This is dried basil. Using herbs and spices also adds flavor to our dishes. And you can be flexible. If you don't have basil, you could maybe use a little bit of oregano, or you could use an Italian herb blend. Any of those will give nice flavor. All right. I'm gonna let this cook a little longer. This recipe is really great for people with diabetes or pre-diabetes, or those who are trying to limit carbohydrates in their diets. Also, and that's because the spaghetti squash is lower in carbohydrate than pasta. So the spaghetti squash can substitute for pasta in a recipe, whether it's an Italian dish or even an Asian noodle dish. This recipe is also great for people who are trying to add more vegetables to their diet. As Sue was mentioning, it's important to get fruits and vegetables in every day. The recommendation for adults is to get about 2.5 to 3 cups of vegetables a day. And I'll tell you, I talk to a lot of people about what they eat, and most of them are not eating enough vegetables. So this is a great recipe for that. All right, next step, let's add our tomatoes. These are diced tomatoes. They're fresh tomatoes. The recipe calls for 2 tomatoes, but I bought Roma tomatoes, which are a little smaller. And so you could use 3 to 4 of these. Tomatoes are a good source of lycopene. Lycopene is a phytochemical that can be beneficial for heart health and cancer prevention. You can see what we're doing here is we're making just a beautiful fresh tomato sauce. And this is going to be absolutely delicious. So our tomatoes are going to cook for about 10 minutes so that they cook down a little bit and all the flavors come together in our nice fresh sauce. And while those are cooking, we're going to work on our spaghetti squash. As I said, I've already roasted the squash. So you roast it at 350 degrees for 1 hour until it's fork tender. And you can see the fork goes in very easily now that it's been cooked. I'm going to cut the squash lengthwise. Like that. And we're going to remove the seeds. So you can see the yellow color of the squash. Vegetables that are yellow or orange in color are rich in beta carotene. Beta carotene is a powerful antioxidant. It's important for eye health. And it's a precursor to vitamin A, which is one of our immune boosting drugs. I mean, nutrients. All right, we're getting all the seeds out. See a few more in there. I'll get the seeds out of this half. All right, spaghetti squash is also a great source of fiber. And that's another thing a lot of people fall short on in their diets. Fiber is a really important nutrient. It helps prevent constipation. It helps lower cholesterol. And it even helps prevent certain types of cancer. It's going to give our tomatoes a stir. Okay, so we're going to remove the strands of the squash with a fork. Just like this. They come out really easily. And you can see why it's called a spaghetti squash. It really looks like spaghetti. And I'll say the texture too. If you've never tried spaghetti squash, it's got a great texture. It's a lot like pasta. It's not mushy. So I want to get all of the flesh out of there. A little more on this one. There we go. Okay. Let's work on the other half. So this recipe, each serving provides 4 grams of fiber, and that's coming from the squash and other vegetables. This is also a really budget-friendly recipe. All the ingredients for this whole recipe, even a new jar of basil, cost about $7. So that comes out to about, I calculated less than $2 per serving, about $1.65. So eating healthy doesn't mean you're spending a lot of money. Even if I pair this, you know, I'm going to show you how this goes together in a whole meal. And it still came out, for the whole meal, it still came out to less than $5 per serving, about $4.15. Oops, I got a seed in there. Okay, so there's our spaghetti squash. Isn't that pretty? Nice and bright and yellow. We're going to take this back to our pan. And add it to our tomatoes. Those are cooking down really nicely. It's really concentrating the flavors of the tomatoes. And now I'll add the squash. And we just want to mix that in, gently stirring and folding the squash in with our sauce. So this dish has like an Italian flavor profile, you know, like spaghetti and tomato sauce. Except instead of the pasta, we've got the spaghetti squash. I made this the other night for my family and we loved it. I mean, it is really delicious. This fresh tomato sauce really is so flavorful. I'm just gonna fold it all together. And from here, we can serve it right onto our plates. Or if you've saved the shell of the squash, you can put it back in the shell to serve. Isn't that cool? I'm gonna do that with the other one too. Oh, I forgot to mention, after you roast your squash, make sure you let it cool down so that you're, you're not burning your hands when you're removing the seeds and the strands. I'd say let it cool down for maybe a half hour or hour before trying to handle it. I should mention too, before I started cooking, I did wash my hands. I washed all the surfaces, all the utensils and the produce. Keep everything sanitary and safe. There we go. I'll show you what we have here. There you go. Beautiful spaghetti squash. And then we're gonna top it with Parmesan cheese. Now cheese can be high in saturated fat and sodium. So we really wanna keep it to a minimum to keep our hearts healthy. But Parmesan cheese has a really strong flavor. So a little bit will add a lot of flavor. And isn't that beautiful? So managing diabetes or even health in general is more than making a healthy recipe. It's the way we put foods together to make a meal that's balanced and meets our health needs that's important. And we share ways to do that in the kitchen creations classes. I'll show you an example of how I would put this meal together. And what I use is what I call the rule of 3: protein, starch, vegetable. That balance provides a nice complement of nutrients as well as flavors and textures. It tends to be very satisfying. So what I did is I put this squash recipe together with an herbed chicken breast and a little piece of garlic bread. So I've got my protein, my starch, and my vegetable. And this was delicious. Thank you for following along. If you enjoyed the cooking demo and would like more practice planning meals and cooking to manage diabetes, I invite you to participate in the kitchen creations classes. They're cooking classes for people with diabetes, pre-diabetes, or people who live with, cook for, or care for people with those conditions. We've got classes coming up. You can sign up through Paths to Health New Mexico, and somebody will show you how to do that at the end of the event. We have an online Zoom series starting next week. So if you're interested, I'd encourage you to sign up as soon as possible. And then in March and April, there will be in-person classes offered in Albuquerque, Alamogordo, Carlsbad, and Roswell. And we're planning more classes before the summer. So those will be added to the Paths to Health New Mexico website as the details are final. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Laura. That looks amazing, and it's perfect timing since the classes are getting ready to start next week. So tonight we've heard about several fantastic programs that are available to you, and we want to empower you to take action after the webinar. Our presenters shared next steps during their presentations that you can take, and at the end of the session tonight, you'll be directed to the website pathstohealthnm.org. Next slide. Once you are there, you will see the home page. On the home page, you will need to look for the green button in the upper right-hand corner that says, I want more info. Click on this button and you'll be taken to a screen that will list all of the programs that are available to you to participate in. Please select the program or the programs that you're interested in and complete the contact information. A member of the Paths to Health New Mexico team will be in contact with you to help you enroll in classes. Thank you for all the great questions coming in. Now we'd like to take a few minutes to focus on the most popular ones. Responses to some of the other questions we don't get to will be included in the follow-up email. We have quite a few questions, actually. This question is for Eileen. How long each day do you recommend these Tai Chi exercises per day to get the most benefit for balance?
Oh, that's a great question. With any exercise program, you don't want to overdo it. Once you start actually doing a Tai Chi form, which is linking a bunch of movements together, a rule of thumb is to practice for as long as you can comfortably walk. So if you can comfortably walk for 20 minutes, then 20 minutes is a good time duration. Things like the stretching, the warm-ups that we did, or the simple movements with breath, you probably wouldn't want to do for too long. Maybe in sets of 3 or 9 would be sufficient. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we also had a question about the recording. The recording will be sent out in the next few weeks, along with some resources. And there was a comment that there was excellent exercises. This question may be for Laura. What foods are best for the management of rheumatoid arthritis?
Great question. Foods that are more anti-inflammatory foods are going to be good for arthritis and other autoimmune disorders like rheumatoid arthritis. Fruits and vegetables are great sources of anti-inflammatory phytochemicals. Eating a variety of colors of fruits and vegetables will provide a variety of those types of nutrients. You might also consider omega-3 fats found in fatty fish like salmon, trout, tuna. Also, the omega-3 fats are going to be in walnuts, flax seeds, and chia seeds. Probiotic foods like yogurt or kefir would be other nutrients that I think about when I'm thinking about an anti-inflammatory diet. So that gives you a few examples. I hope that helps.
Excellent. There's a few questions that are kind of along the same lines, also for you, Laura. It says, doesn't unsaturated fat from olive oil change its quality when heated? Doesn't it become saturated? And along the same lines, I've heard that some olive oils lose some of its benefits when it is cooked. Can you clarify this, and is this true?
Absolutely. So I can absolutely clarify that. So olive oil is absolutely great to cook with. The unsaturated fats do not turn to saturated fats. It does not lose its healthful properties either. The monounsaturated fats stay intact and will still provide their benefits. With vegetable oils, what is important to consider is what's called the smoke point. And that's the temperature when a vegetable oil starts to create smoke. At that point, its chemical structure can start to change and some harmful compounds can begin to form. It does not change into saturated fat though. And so olive oil is good for most applications, sauteing, most types of cooking, baking, roasting. High heat cooking methods like stir frying, you'd be better off using an oil with a higher smoke point, like avocado oil, canola oil, safflower or sunflower oil. There are a lot of options.
Awesome, thank you. I actually thought I had seen somewhere, or some of the oils will actually say use for high temperature cooking or do not use for high temperature. I think they've started adding those on some of the labels. It's good information, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The next question is for Sue. I have a friend that would like information on the diabetes prevention program. Where can she sign up?
Well, as Bert just showed you previously, you want to get on the Paths to Health site in the corner there where you ask for more information about signing up. That would be the place. Also, once again, if you click at the end of this program, I'd like more information, then someone will actually follow up with you and you can get more information about programs that are available and also the fact that these programs are all free. So that's a good thing for people to know that these amazing programs with all this support are completely free.
Thank you. And there's another food question. Sorry. Can you talk about the trend in fast food chains such as KFC and Taco Bell to use plant-based chicken? Plant-based.
Yeah, definitely. So some people might have heard of the Impossible Burger. That's a meatless alternative to a beef burger. And it's a great option for folks who choose to eat less meat or avoid meat for whatever reason. Nutritionally, when I've seen the comparison to a product like the Impossible Burger to the beef burger, they're pretty similar in terms of protein content and saturated fat content. So they're adding fats that like palm oil or coconut oil that are high in saturated fat to mimic the flavor, texture, mouthfeel of meat. And the result is also something that is nutritionally close to meat. So they're not necessarily healthier, but they do provide an option for people who want an alternative to meat.
Okay. And what time do you suggest we eat dinner at? Is there a better time or a worse time?
Not necessarily. Everybody has their own schedule. And what I see a lot is that folks skip meals. You know, a lot of people will skip breakfast, maybe even lunch too, and then they get to dinner and they're ravenous. And when we're hungry like that, our blood sugar has tanked, we tend to overeat, not only because we're hungry, but because physiologically our body needs to be nourished. Our blood sugar levels need to come up, and it's hard to make decisions related to portion control or even to tune into our natural hunger and fullness cues. And so I don't think exact hours are as important as eating regularly through the day. I usually suggest eating at least 3 times a day, and that is to keep steady blood sugar levels, steady energy levels, and to stay nourished. Those are all opportunities to meet these nutrition recommendations, like getting enough fruits and vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats, legumes, lean proteins.
That makes sense. I know we're often sitting in Zoom meetings and and we don't always get a chance, or sometimes planning gets a little difficult and we don't get all the meals or all the calories in. And yeah, it's like we're searching to make up for it all at the end of the evening, right? So you're eating 1,500 calories instead of spacing them out. There was a question about what exactly is plant-based chicken. And then there was a comment that plant-based chicken is not really chicken, but a product that mimics chicken, but is made from plant-based ingredients. Is that correct?
Right. So a plant-based chicken, sometimes they have another, it's not called chicken, but it's a meat analog. And so it's a product that has been created with plant ingredients, so it does not contain meat. And it's made to mimic the appearance, flavor, texture, sometimes nutritional profile of chicken. And in terms of ingredients or what it's made of, I'd really have to look at a specific product. Usually if you're in the store, you can simply look at the ingredients list on a nutrition label. If you're looking at something that's offered at a chain restaurant, you can find nutritional information on websites. If you can't find ingredients for products, they're very receptive to responding to questions if you contact them through email.
Thank you so much. That helps a lot, I think. Here's a question I believe may go to Troy. It is, well, I guess any Eileen or Troy. Moving is painful. How do I start again? How do I start again?
Well, Troy, I would say start slowly. Remember they used to say, no pain, no gain. They don't say that anymore, even for young people. Now, if it hurts, don't do it. Work well within your comfort level. Troy, what do you want to add to that?
Well, a lot of times, if you are released, let's say you're on physical therapy, they'll give you a certain prescription of movements or contraindication of movements not to do. So that's where it's real important to have somebody that knows the origins, insertions, and actions and it's very skilled in anatomy, so that you're not doing something that's going to hurt yourself. And that's what I was talking about earlier. Consistency is better than trying to build Rome in a day. And so if you are in any pain, then always check with your doctor first, your physical therapist, and a good trainer will follow that chain of command and not try to say, well, all you need to do is do this exercise upside down and try to lift. I'm a funny guy. I like to put a humorous spin on things, but that's the best thing, in my opinion, is just to listen to your body and just, it takes about 28 days for a new habit from the neuromuscular junction, from the brain to the muscles. And so just take your time and make sure you don't hurt yourself.
Excellent advice. Thank you so much. We do have a few more questions, and I think we still have some time. Is there a cost to do the National Diabetes Prevention Program? My doctor told me I have prediabetes, and I have family members who have type 2 diabetes. So relieved to hear that doesn't have to be me.
That's absolutely true. And there is no charge. It's a wonderful program, lots of support, a year of really getting an opportunity to figure out what works best for you so that you can not be one of those people that get diabetes and have all the health benefits as well. So once again, check out the Path to Health site and you can get some guidance on what's available when the classes are starting and figure out what works out best for you.
I love that. Thank you. And our last question is it better to eat smaller, more frequent meals, 4 to 5? And I think you kind of touched on that a little.
Yeah,
Laura?
That's a great question. And I think it really depends on an individual's schedule and personal preference. You know, as long as long periods of time aren't passing without eating, I think that people can adapt to different meal patterns, whether it's 3 meals per day or maybe 3 smaller meals and 3 significant snacks. It's going to vary, you know, based on individual preference and like I said, schedule. Sometimes that really determines our meal schedule as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you all for the great questions coming in. We had a really nice discussion and I was really happy to see all the questions. With that, I'll ask David to rejoin us and share the final slides to close out tonight's event. Really happy that you have joined us tonight. We hope you have enjoyed tonight's event. I know I did. I really appreciated hearing from all the presenters and watching and learning. You should receive a follow-up email from me, adavis@comagin.org, within 2 weeks. If you don't receive it, please check your junk mail or spam folder in case it went there. In that follow-up email, we'll share slides, the recording, resources, and a link to a survey about tonight's event. We would really appreciate your feedback. Your feedback is really helpful in our planning for future events like these. And finally, I want to thank Eileen, Sue, Troy, and Laura for a great presentation and cooking demonstration tonight. And thank you all for taking the time to join us. We really appreciate it